Pathfinder needs to be nerfed. I think they should have the diamond scan. Everyone has been talking about Gibby needing a rework. I think Newcastle has split the community pretty hard. So I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, but give her modded loader on every gun. Apex has not released a trailer or patch notes less than 2 days before the new season, so I'm going to talk about buffs, nerfs, changes, stuff I want to see in Season 23. Now, first of all, let me just say it's my opinion, and I have a lot more that I could say. I try not to put way too much here. First up, I think it's about time we spawned in with a white backpack. No one likes having no bag. You can just remove it from the ground loot completely and just give it to us, okay? I feel like having no bag is like artificial difficulty in the beginning of the game. It's just really annoying. Personally, I see no downsides. All right, moving on. So there was this leak here. So just to cover this little leak that came out, the Devotion is replacing the Havoc in the care package. The Spitfire is gaining 1 damage. The Rampage and Sentinel charge times are being increased. And the Akimbo P2020s have higher accuracy. Okay, so before I get to assault rifles, I want to say, I think you could definitely talk me out of this part. My fundamental issue with the game is they just like continuously nerf stuff over and over until everything is just like nerfed. While you can definitely talk me out of this section, assault rifles are all in a pretty decent spot right now, but this is just me, okay? R301 gains 1 damage back to its original 14 damage. Now, I think this alone would probably put the 301 on top of assault rifles. So I'd be willing to trade a bullet or two in the mags. I think the 301's already like decent right now. Everyone just says it lacks damage, and that's what I'm giving it. It would be stronger than it was in its peak, because in its peak, from what I remember, it had 14 damage, 28 bullets. But honestly, look, if you buff it and people are complaining, just, you know, take some bullets out. Like, it's not that hard. And I don't think it would be insanely busted. And even if it was, listen, is anyone really going to be upset using the 301? Like I said, you could definitely talk me out of this and the next two as well. So let me just show you what I did with the next two, okay? For the flatline, I don't know why they even did this. Just add the bullet back. They took out 1 bullet at every mag. Just add it back. That's all. I view the flatline as like the more damage per mag version of the 301, and that requires more skill. So you're trading off DPS and accuracy for damage per mag. Same thing for the Hemlock. I think you just revert the changes. Basically what they did was they nerfed it by 1 damage and removed 3 bullets from every mag except the purple. If we're gonna up the 301, I think it only makes sense to revert the Hemlock to be competitive. Listen, I'm not dying on this hill. I think assault rifles are fine, but I just fundamentally, like I said, have a problem with how the game always wants to nerf these guns. Now, I will not back off with the next hill here. The 30-30 repeater needs to be buffed. I put the Scout here next to it just so you could understand how bad it is in comparison. So first of all, the base damage is 39. The base damage of the Scout is 33. And yes, it can charge up and get stronger, but when you're using 30-30, you typically only get that first shot charged, if that. It does depend, but we're looking at the base damage here. So it used to be 42 with up to 12 bullets. Now it's 39 with 10. I'm thinking maybe add 1 damage up to 40 and maybe add a bullet or two to the mag, back to how it was before. Not only did it get a damage nerf and a mag nerf, it no longer even has any of the hop-ups it has. It lost Skull Piercer, it lost Shatter Caps, and it also lost its double reload, like the dual shell reload. So yeah, either add 1 damage back or add some magazine size back, or both. Because if you look at the Scout, it has way higher DPS, double the ammo capacity, damn near the same damage. It's just the 30-30 is so in the dirt in comparison. Also, I did not put the triple take in here because I feel like that gun is like really weird and how it can work. I was against the triple take close range with a Mastiff. I double 99 the guy. We both had purple armor, and he killed me faster with the triple take than I did with the Mastiff. When I double 99'd him, I didn't miss. He did happen to headshot me, but I don't know. The triple take's weird. I don't even want to talk about it, and that's kind of the case for a lot of guns. I don't want to talk about them because I don't know them well enough, so I'll leave that there. If I were to say one thing for the triple take, maybe like adjust the charge time for the choke. Like, I feel like it's kind of slow. All right, moving on to SMGs, and I am very adamant about this next one. We need to buff the alternator. Either bring back disruptors or just give it like +1 damage or something. It has bad DPS, and I really just don't see any reason to run the alternator. Bring back disruptor or add some damage, and also might as well throw 1 bullet in the base mag to 20, so it's at least good on drop. Like, you get a little buff on drop. Yeah, that's what I gotta say about the alternator. Also, another thing I didn't put here, the devotion is going to be back on the floor, right? Which got me thinking, with the energy ammo being reduced, running the devotion is going to be rough. So I would personally suggest, honestly, revert the energy ammo nerf. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but just put it back to 60 per stack. I don't see why not. All right, so moving on to legends. Now, I'm going to say something first. I have a pre-prepared statement here. I think that a lot of characters could use work in terms of like passives and perks that are like really lazy and poorly done, but I'm going to intentionally leave out a lot of that stuff because I'd be talking forever, and I kind of want to just prioritize characters and things that I feel like needs more attention at the moment. As an example, I can definitely talk about how Crypto basically doesn't have a passive, or how Horizon perks are like trash, especially the blue ones, but I don't want to do that right now, so I'm gonna just do what I'm doing. First, with the Assault Legends, I have to say, I think all the Assault Legends are pretty decent in what they're supposed to do. Like, I could definitely make suggestions for some of them, but I feel like their kits are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't really require attention. Like, if you were to say, what about Ballistic? I would tell you, yes, I can make suggestions for Ballistic, but what you need to understand is Ballistic's kit is doing what it's intended to do, and that's to oppress you in a fight, in a gunfight. So I'm just gonna move on and go straight to Skirmisher. And this is, I feel like this is a no-brainer. We should buff the amount of Evo charge you get from scanning care packages. I feel like the fact that you only get 50, it's just a little too low. Do it to 100 or at least 75. There's multiple reasons for this. One is you're limited to the amount you can even get. Like, you get 2 at the first ring, and then 1 after that every ring. Every class is limited to some amount, but Control definitely gets more per ring. Recon can hit so many scans that it outscales Skirmisher. Assault can hit many bins, and same thing with the support. They can hit a lot of bins. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of Skirmishers, I don't know what it is, they just don't even scan the packs anyway. So yeah, moving on. Pathfinder needs to be nerfed. This guy, here, let me just zoom in. He is gapping the entire game in pick rates. He is double everyone but Lifeline in base pick rates. And in Master Pred, he's at almost 26%. I don't hate Pathfinder being meta. I think a lot of people are like cool with that because he was so bad for so long. I think this is what I would do. There's 2 options. The first one is, you know how he gets like his ultimate recharge and cooldown reduction when he scans packs and hits the consoles and survey beacons? Just remove the consoles and survey beacons. The fact of the matter is, this guy can zip across the map so frequently, especially with survey beacons on top of the pack. He can just do it over and over, and his cooldown gets so low that he just has them all the time. So either remove the ring consoles and survey beacons from this passive and leave it just to packs, or just remove survey beacons completely. This is kind of the primary way that it gets farmed. And also, him having the recon scan, I feel like it's just so strong in itself. At least with the ring consoles, you can't just like do them over and over, like POI to POI. Like, you have to wait for each ring, kind of like with the packs as well. And it kind of grounds the character more into a more linear scaling. Other than that, I mean, I like Pathfinder for what he is right now. I just feel like the access to doing this so frequently is a little oppressive. So Octane needs to be buffed. I think we all know that. And the simplest solution I can give you is simply just buff his pad. If you're standing, make you go higher. If you're crouching, just go further. That's all I have to say without reworking the character. Now, you could also maybe do something with like the glide speed in the air, but the point is, his pad is just not effective enough to be warranted to use. And that's just how it is. All right, so Alter here. I mean, this character is a dead release, and I can't give you a solution to fix that without reworking the character. One buff I'll give you is, though, you know when you're trying to recall to her ultimate and you have to pull out the little smartphone or whatever the hell and it takes so long? Make that faster, because if you're trying to get out of a situation, you're just like a sitting duck when you do it. When you're on the ground, you have to put your knockdown away and you just get finned every time. Other than that, similar to like Wraith, like I can't, first of all, I'm not here to rework the characters. That's not what this video is. I just can't give you like a simple solution. Moving on to Recon. All right, so Bloodhound here. I think there's a lot of things you can do with Bloodhound. You can make Bloodhound's body scan 1.5 seconds instead of 1. I mean, it's a little quality of life thing. And another thing that will do is with the Odin's Glare perk, it'll make it to where the 3 seconds is a complete body scan for 3. There's that. And another thing, in Bloodhound's ultimate, when you use the scan, it used to be really fast. Now it's like really slow, like just base normal speed. And I feel like that just, even if it's such a small detail that isn't super significant, I feel like just having the quicker scan in the ultimate, I think it goes a long way. If not just that it feels better. The whole gimmick of the Bloodhound ultimate is, I mean, the threat vision is kind of redundant now, but the speed. So yeah, there's that. I just want to leave it simple, just like slight buffs that are noticeable, but not too over the top. Moving on to Seer. Now the problem with his passive, I've always thought, is it's a little inconsistent. So what I suggest is when he has his hands out, specifically hands, no, not gun, it will, instead of just showing the circle where it shows if an enemy is near it, right? If they're within the circle, I think they should have the diamond scan. And this is important because one, it makes your understanding of what is happening a little bit more clear and you can comment to your teammates. But most importantly, it makes his ability to actually hit his Q way more consistent. Because this scan here, the normal scan he has now, it's not consistent and it gives you like general information and you're kind of just hoping someone's in it. So yeah, I think giving him the diamond scan when he has his hands out specifically would be a good change. And let me emphasize, it should only be him seeing the diamond scan, only him. That way, like, you can't cheese it with wall hacks. And keep in mind, it's only in the circle. So it's very limited in its use. And yeah, I just think it would enable the character more for clear communication and actually hitting the Q. And you could definitely put like a capped range on the diamond too, within a certain distance. So it's not like too crazy. I think it's about time that we gave Vantage Fortified. We all know it. We all know it, okay? She is big and it's very easy to kill her. So let's be fair and give her Fortified, okay? That's all I gotta say. All right, moving on to support. Support next season, if things are going how they are being leaked to go, is going to be very good, okay? Support's already very good. If you didn't see this before, I covered it in a different video, but you can see it now. So let me just move on to the characters. First of all, we got Gibby. I don't know, man. Everyone has been talking about Gibby needing a rework, and I don't know what I can do for him without reworking him. Dome support in some way, like maybe his dome, if you're not taking damage, slowly heals your shield, or maybe it gives you damage reduction while you're in the dome. That way it slightly counters Maggie, and if anyone pushes you, then you have a slight advantage in the dome. I think those two are solid. Maybe the healing one is a little overtuned, but I don't know. Or you could go a different route and just like buff his arm shield to be bigger or tank more damage, something like that. It's kind of hard to say too much on Gibby without proposing full-on reworks. Like everything I suggested there kind of changes what he has or adds things to it. I'll just leave that there. I think Newcastle has split the community pretty hard. Some people think he's balanced. Some people think he's overpowered. I don't think he's overpowered. I think he might be closer somewhere in between. I think it has to do with a lot of factors, and I just don't even want to get too deep into it right now, but yeah, I'm not talking about Newcastle, and I'm sorry. One thing I could just say about Newcastle, actually, his ultimate having the zap on the nades, you could just gate that behind a perk completely and have it compete with the one that gives you HP regeneration on revives, because then I think it makes the player, it forces the player to choose between the revive strength or the wall strength. That would be a quick little suggestion I just came up with. All right, so moving on. All right, Mirage. So I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, but I think the health bar update where you have the health bar when you're being shot has really hurt Mirage. So I have two suggestions. Either one is fine with me. One, remove the health bar from Mirage exclusively altogether, right? Because once you shoot the real Mirage, you know where he's going, and there's no more like his kit doesn't do anything anymore. As soon as he gets shot once, you know where he is. Or you can add fake health bars to his clones, and that might be even stronger. So take your pick. But I think one of these has to happen, or else Mirage's kit is like the health bar thing literally just nerfed him, and he didn't need to be nerfed. All right, moving on to Conduit. So I'm talking about Conduit's passive here, and it's the speed that you gain while looking at a teammate. So I'm gonna start off and say that for me, sometimes when I'm trying to look at the teammate and get it to proc, it'll fill up and then disappear if you're not like perfectly within the silhouette of your teammate, and it's very annoying. So I have two suggestions. The first one's really strong. The second one is, I feel like the second one is just do it. You could remove the running towards a teammate part and just give her the speed when she's far away in general. I think that's fair, maybe a little strong. My reasoning for this is that sometimes when you're trying to get to your teammate, it requires you not to look directly at them. Do you understand that? Like if there's a big wall in between you and you have to go around it, you can't look at your teammate, so you lose the speed. I feel like removing the looking towards them is like a really good buff, and maybe I would prefer the second one in terms of just raw balance, and that is just make the FOV of looking at your teammate more lenient. As it is currently, they have to be like within a certain cone, and the cone's kind of narrow to the point to where you lose it a lot. Yeah, just make it easier to proc it, okay? Just make it easy to proc it. Because if you want to keep it for the purpose of running towards your teammate as it is now, just make it easier. Moving on to controller characters, Rampart here. So I'm going to be talking about her passive, which is increased magazine capacity and faster reloads when using LMGs and the minigun. First of all, you can just scrap the minigun from the passive because I feel like that's just kind of like filler. Like you can just put that in the minigun description. It doesn't have to be part of the passive. I feel like gating this behind an LMG is so redundant for Rampart because everything an LMG is doing is already covered by her minigun. So here are my suggestions. First one, I don't think people will agree with this. Apply the passive to all guns. Give her modded loader on every gun. It makes sense for the character, but if you think that's too strong, perhaps do it to LMGs and assault rifles. My reasoning being, LMGs, she has it because, you know, she made Rampage and stuff like that. And assault rifles, well, guess what? She made the Nemesis too, technically. Now, if you don't think she should have it for all LMGs and assault rifles, can we at least add the Nemesis? I don't know if you play Rampart ever, but when the Nemesis came out, every time you picked up a Nemesis, she ran her mouth about it because she designed the gun, okay? Add all guns if you really want to buff her. Add LMGs and assault rifles as a middle pick. Or at the very least, add the Nemesis. Give her the ability to use the Nemesis effectively. Because, like I said, the LMGs is kind of redundant to her kit with the minigun. And LMGs haven't been very good for a long time. I think they're okay right now. I just feel like expanding this passive for that would make sense, especially the Nemesis. And that's all I gotta say there. All right, so that's actually everything I put on this document. There's definitely more I could come up with and things that I probably missed. There's definitely things I could remove, like I said with the assault rifles. And trust me, there are a lot of perks and a lot of passives that could be updated. But this is just what I put down within, you know, a couple hours. If you have any ideas, please feel free to let me know. If you hard disagree with anything I said, please let me know. Or if you agree with them, let me know what you think about them. I think talking about this type of stuff is it can definitely lead to people getting heated. I would ask that, you know, just keep a level head. It's okay to disagree and stuff. The amount of thought I put into this was moderate. I could definitely be persuaded in some instances. So yeah, just let me know what you think. That is my suggestions for season 23, even though I know they won't be added because it's too late. But you know, they could do it in the mid-season or at some other point. And that, okay, actually, pause. Pause. This is pretty obvious, but there's a lot of systematic changes that need to be made too. The cheater situation really ruins the gameplay experience. Matchmaking, which there was a leak that they're going to change it in some way. I don't know right now. There's a lot of more changes that could be suggested, like I said, but I'm just going to leave it here. Let me know what you think. I'm sorry if I offended anyone with one of my suggestions. I didn't mean to. You could call me a dummy. So yeah, just please let me know what you think and I'll holla at you. Bye.